Good day, everyone. Welcome to Turtles Cove Media. This is Turtle, and I'm going to be your guide as we learn, build, play, one pixel at a time. So, we're going to be getting into some pretty basic game development, nothing too fancy, but it's a passion that I have. Very much an amateur, and I know that programming can be pretty daunting, and so we're just going to be delving right into it. So, we are going to be building our own our own Pong from start to finish. Not going to be using anything too fancy. We're going to be writing from scratch using the Python language. Not too terrible to get into, but I'm going to walk you guys through every step of the way the best that I can. I'm going to make some mistakes. There's some things I'm probably going to show you that aren't the quote unquote best way of doing things, but it's about having fun, about learning, and I'm an amateur. I don't do this professionally, and sometimes the best way of getting into things is just doing it and not worrying about the full-on proper professional way of doing it. So to get started, we will just need a few things. One, I'm just going to assume you have a computer. You will need a computer and access to the internet. Using Python, you won't need any crazy powerful computer. Most anything you have should be fine. But there are two pieces of software we'll need that they're both free that we'll have to install. Thankfully, they're not difficult. First one, we are going to be using Windows Visual Studio Code, and then we have to download Python because that does not come in on Windows. Take your web browser of choice, just using Chrome here, and the first thing we're going to be doing is fetching some VS Code. You go to the site, it's Windows, it's made by Microsoft. You just download for Windows. Should automatically take work on it. There we go. And then we need to get Python. Again, it isn't difficult either. If you just type on, we're just going to type in Python. Should be the first thing here. You can go straight to downloads. And again, just want to download this latest version for Windows. Alrighty. And that's all we're going to need to get started. So next, we just want to go to our downloads, which if you just open up a new Windows tab, downloads, just to make sure everyone has an idea how to get to it. I did download it earlier to make sure everything is working, but yours should just be one without these little extra ones next to them. So first we'll install VS Code. Oh, give me a moment. I am sorry. I have it pre-installed, but just to go through it with everyone. Let's install it. I'm going to accept any agreements. I don't know what they're asking for. I'm going to hit next, and we're going to hit install. None of this will take very long. We're not going to launch it in this case yet, but you should, somewhere on your screen, have a little icon show up on your desktop. You can also take it and pin it to your taskbar if you would like, but we'll just leave that there for now. And next we're going to install Python. So I already have it installed, and so you should just have an installation, but anything that's related to installation, that's what you'll be wanting to do. And you'll just follow the prompts through. Say next, next, yes, install, and you'll go through with it. I'll just go ahead and hit install. Just had it. Just let it do its thing. Once it's fully installed, you'll be ready to go. Exit out of here. And the only other thing we'll go ahead and do is if you just want to create a folder on your desktop just so it's easy to access, we're just going to put it right there. And then we'll open up our Studio Code. This is what you should see roughly. There might be a few extra screens pop up, especially if it's the first time you're using it. So we're just going to kind of exit out of all those. Now, if you don't have this portion on the bottom, if you just want to go to View, and there's a few things you can come up with, but you should see Terminal, any of these, and you'll have this. This will be important because we do have to install one more thing, and it'll be from this terminal, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. the only other thing, now that we're in, you'll want to come over to the left side and come down to this little thing here, and it says extensions. So there is a couple things for Python we will want here once it comes up. And really, like these top three things here is what we want. And this will just help us when we're writing our Python code and everything. These first two for sure required. And I believe this one is too, but just to be sure, I would go ahead and install all three, and you'll have a little install button right here. Once you've installed all that, we'll be ready to go. We can just X out of that. So we're going to get into it in just a second.
All right, everyone, we're going to get into starting to make our game. So from here, should have Visual Studio opened up. It's installed, Python's installed. There's a couple more things we're going to have to do, but we'll get that going as we get the file up and going. So go to File, New File, and here you'll have a drop down. We're going to want to create a Python file. And here, opened up. And this is where we're going to actually input all of our code, and this is where most of our work is going to be done. So just going to go to File, Save As, and so I put the file on my desktop under Game Dev. So here, names do matter, but in our case, especially because everything is going to be in just this one single file, not as big of a thing here. So I'm just going to call it Pong. A lot of times people call it main, but because we'll end up having more games in here, I'm just going to call it what it is, so Pong. So now, almost ready to get started. So if you come down to the bottom, you should have this terminal up. If not, if you go up to View, and you come down to Terminal, it will open it up for you. And just one thing we want to do, you're going to want to type in pip -- version. We just have to make sure that's installed, because Python have what's called libraries, and this gives us added functionality, and there's going to be a library we're going to be using for all of this. It should be installed when you did your installation. If not, double check it, and if it's too big of an issue, I can create an additional video to kind of go through that and just walk everyone through. So from here, we're going to type pip install, and we're going to be installing a library called Pygame. It gives us a bunch of functionality to create 2D games, which is what we're going to be working with for a while. And I already have it, but from here it will just go ahead, install it, get it set up and ready for you. So we can come up here, and so first thing we got to do is we're going to type in import, and this is how you bring in libraries. So the first one we're going to do is Pygame. That's the one we just installed. And we're also going to import sys for some extra system functionalities. And so from here, first thing we're going to type out is called def main, and this will be the heart of everything we do. So a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to go in here. So we're going to do pygame dot init, which is initialize. Next thing we're going to have what's called a screen. So we're going to create a variable, and in Python you can just create a variable. Other programming languages, you have to tell it, is this going to contain a number? Is this going to contain text? Is this a true or false value? You don't have to do that with Python. It's a lot good and bad to that, because you don't have to worry about some of that other stuff with it, but it is possible if you have a bigger program that if you can accidentally set that value as a different type, and it won't tell you until you try to run it. So we're just going to type pygame, period, and what the period you're doing is it's allowing us to access additional functions as we go through. Display, and we have what's called set mode, And this is setting up our screen. It's setting up how big we want it. And so for now, we're going to do 800, comma, space, 600. And the space is more there just to make it look nicer and easier to see. We're going to have Pygame.display. I'm going to mistype a lot. I do apologize. And then set caption. And this just sets, when we open up the window for the first time, you'll see it. This sets up the title on it so we can see what it is. Pong. I'm just going to call it lesson 1. I'm just going to say Pong. And then clock equals. And this is one of the ways we're going to actually keep track of the FPS, or set the FPS for this. All right. Oh. You do need to check when you're pulling functions and the names of things, the name matters, and if something's capitalized or not does matter. So sometimes if you have an error, just double check to make sure you didn't accidentally use the lowercase, or maybe use uppercase when she's lowercase, or vice versa. Next, we're going to create running. So this is just setting up the game state. We're going to use this to tell the game that it is running. And if whenever that running variable goes to false, that's what will quit out the game. So we're going to say while running, and so this is going to create a while loop. So while this variable running is true, it's just going to keep going. And so for event in dot get if dot quit, we have, give me a moment, I will explain what I'm doing here. So what it's doing, while it's running, it's going to, anytime there's any sort of event, it's going to check it, and if that event is causing the game to quit out, or should cause it to quit out, it's going to take that variable running and set it to false, and from there it'll end up ending this loop, so it'll actually end the quote-unquote game, which we won't really have a game quite yet, but then screen dot fill, this is the color we want it, so I'm going to set it to 0, 0, 0, or comma space 0, and that's going to set the screen to black. I'm going to Pygame dot display dot flip, and then clock dot tick 60, and this is the frame rate, which again we won't really see that here yet in this lesson, but that's what we're using it for. And so at this point the indentations matter, so we have this while, so everything in this while loop is just going to be running until something happens that switches running to false, and then it'll actually end it. Then once the while loops end, it'll run this next, that's when it'll kick out and run this next bit of code, which is just we're telling it we want to end the program, we want it to stop functioning. Same thing with this, we're just telling it, hey, we're killing it, we're done with it. All right, so that's our main. Now to get it to run, we're running this little piece of code. So now we have this first piece of code written, and you can come up to the top right and there's a run button. You may have a drop down come at the top here. You should have. Oh, it's getting angry. Ooh, what did I do? What did I do to make it so angry? So line 24. I think I know why it's upset. Well, you get to see me debug here. So I think the problem is it'll give you some errors down here. I don't think it's that. So I think the issue here is right here. It doesn't want to accept all three values. So we were going to fill that later. But so we're going to come back up to the top and we're going to set some constant variables. And so these are just things we really probably won't be changing in the game. So the first one we're going to make is we're just going to call it background. And generally, if you have a variable it's constant, you don't want it to ever change, you do it all caps. And so we're just call it background equals, and we're going to give it those same 3 zeros. And now we're going to come back down to fill. We're just going to call it. Call that same. We're going to save it. There we go. So you can hit the F5 key, or you can come over here and hit that. You should have a little drop down. We want to click the Python debugger and Python file. And give it a second. There we go. And there we go. We have the window of what will become the game. Not a whole lot yet, know that, but great things will be in the making. So I'm just going to, you can either exit out through the little X on the window, or you can come up here, the little stop button. Both will work. And just to kind of give a little bit of show and tell of what we'll be working towards, have off screen 2 other pieces of code of complete versions of the game. Once it decides it wants to pull the window up. Sometimes the problem with Python, it can take a little bit for it to load. So I'm just going to pull this on screen. So this is what we have. I'm just going to select easy. I count down to start. And there we go. We have the Pong game working with some sound. There we go. Oh, ooh. A little bit of AI going on. And not gonna, it does have a pause function, and it does have a game over whoever wins. So we're just gonna quit out of that. And then this next one won't look too different, but it's a much more polished, and we'll get to this even a little bit later. The code is a lot nicer looking as well, but it's just baby steps, one step at a time to get to where we want to go. And same thing, I'll select medium here. Game looks a little bit nicer. Oh, runs a little bit better. And something in this is the ball is slowly getting faster. Oh. And there we go. We won. We can go back to main menu. We can quit, do a new game. I will say, just for test purposes, this one, it's the score to win is set very low, just to make it quicker to troubleshoot. And so that's our complete first lesson. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next time.